Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday Morning Manna. I am Elder Lexi Johnson, and I am so glad that you are here this Wednesday morning. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna plug like directly into my internet because from the wall because sometimes this stuff be acting up. Anywho, good morning. No intro, outro music this week because guess what? Somehow I accidentally deleted that stuff, but you know what? It was okay because it's time for me to, make a new one specifically for the Wednesday morning devotional. So, anywho, good morning to you. We are starting a new series, and this series that we are talking about is Discernment in a Deceptive Age. Discernment in a Deceptive Age. So, once again, good morning. Welcome to Wednesday Morning Manna. This is your midweek alignment with heaven. And this is not inspiration. No, it's not. This is formation. This is where we mature spiritually, sharpen discernment, and learn to walk in truth in an age that is full of confusion. So today we begin this brand new series, as I mentioned, right? Discernment in a deceptive age, because not everything spiritual is from Yah. Not every voice is trustworthy. Not every emotional reaction is discernment. And one of the greatest problems in the body right now is that many people are calling suspicion discernment, right? Or their feelings discernment, right? But suspicion and discernment are not the same thing. And so that's what we're going to talk about today for week one, discernment versus suspicion. And our foundation scripture for today is Hebrews chapter 5, verse 14. And it says, but strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. There is so much in this scripture that we can unpack, but we only have 10 minutes here this morning. So let's dive in. The Greek word for discern is diakrisis, Diakrisis. And it means distinguishing accurately, judging properly, separating truth from error. Now, most people think that that means that you're just telling right from wrong, but it's not telling right from wrong because honestly, Yah has given us all the ability to tell right from wrong. There's a scripture says that He has written His commandments on our heart, right? So we have this, all of us have this ability to tell right from wrong. Discernment is about telling the difference between what is right from what appears to be right. Okay, what is deceptive, right? Discernment is not assumption. It's accurate spiritual perception. And notice something important here that discernment belongs to the mature, okay? Not the emotional, not the reactive, but the mature. Okay? That's what we read in Hebrews 5:14. But strong meat, okay, belongeth to them that are full of age, meaning mature. Strong meat, meaning you're this is not surface stuff. You don't do surface study, surface prayer. You don't have a surface relationship with God. Like you are strengthened and you are consistent in all of these areas and in your fasting life as well, right? So, discernment is rooted in truth. This is point number one. Discernment is rooted in truth, not fear. Suspicion is fear based. Okay. Oh, that person is kind of, suspect. I don't know. But suspicion is based in fear. Discernment is truth based. Okay. Suspicion will assume the worst. Discernment seeks accuracy. All right. Suspicion reacts emotionally, where discernment observes spiritually. Okay. For those of us you're just joining, we're starting this new series. We're talking about discernment in a deceptive age. And right now I'm talking about the difference between discernment and suspicion. Okay. So we said that suspicion is fear based, discernment is truth based. Suspicion assumes the worst, discernment seeks accuracy, suspicion reacts emotionally, and discernment observes spiritually. See, a suspicious person sees danger everywhere, okay? But a discerning person sees clearly. See, a person who is suspicious may not necessarily be seeing accurately, okay? But a discerning person sees clearly. Second Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you can write it down and read it later. It says fear distorts perception, right? This is why wounded people often struggle to discern correctly. I'm going to say that again, okay? Wounded people often struggle to discern correctly if your heart is unhealed, right? If you are not healed from rejection or offense or trauma, if you are not healed from these things, it will affect your discernment. Okay. And so then, anytime you are actually hearing wisdom from somebody, it's going to feel like an attack. Anytime you are getting correction from somebody, it's going to feel like betrayal. And your caution then becomes paranoia. Discernment can't function, cannot, okay, function properly through unresolved fear or through unresolved issues that we have. Okay, this is why it's so important for us to be healed, to know, to forgive and forgive quickly, all of that, because it affects your discernment. You might not think so, but it absolutely does. All right. My point number two, spiritual maturity will sharpen your discernment. Spiritual maturity will sharpen your discernment. Now, if you want to grow in your discernment, then first of all, it comes through use, right? And because this is what our anchor scripture in Hebrews says, that it comes through use, meaning that your discernment is developed, okay? The Greek word for exercised is gumnazō. I think that's how you say it. Gumnazo. And it means to like train, like an athlete does, like an athlete trains. So if you know anything about athletes and how they train, maybe you've played sports before in your life, maybe you currently play sports, or maybe you just watch sports, right? But if you know how an athlete trains, it's not here or there, right? It is consistent, persistent. It is, they're disciplined about it because they train whether they want to or not. It's not about feelings. And so, the same way, if you want your discernment to sharpen, this is how it grows. It grows through prayer. It grows through the study of the word. It grows through obedience. It grows through correction, and it grows through experience with Yah. Immature believers are easily deceived, right? Because they lack spiritual training. And I'm going to tell you, I know this for a fact, okay? The scripture states it, but I personally know this for a fact, okay? I can look back at the times in my life where I was not studying consistently, praying consistently, fasting consistently, all of those things. And I can tell that my discernment off, right? Times when I was not healed, off. And even when things are currently still happening, betrayals may still be happening, all of this, I am much more mature now and know how to handle those things so that it does not impact my discernment, right? So, immature believers are easily deceived because they lack the training, they lack that consistency. This has nothing to do with how long you have been in a church, how long you've known about the Bible. It's not about that. It's like, what do you do daily to train, right? And so this is why our emotions can't lead us, because our feelings fluctuate, right? As I said, we still go through things. We have healed from certain things, but we still go through things. And we have to learn how to set the feelings aside, right? Because our feelings fluctuate, but the truth always remains. Okay. Point number 3: suspicion destroys relationships. So, suspicion isolates people. Okay. Maybe you have been, good morning, Amanda, good to see you. Maybe you have been in relationships where someone is always suspicious, right? It is the most annoying thing, right? Because they're always accusing you of something or whatever, and you're not doing anything. I ain't talking about the people who are actually doing something, okay? I'm talking about the people who aren't really doing, they're not doing anything. But because the person has some unhealed stuff to deal with, unhealed trauma, the way they see things, right, is from the lens of their hurt. And so they're always suspicious. Or maybe you are the one who is always suspicious. And you are saying that that is discernment. That's not discernment. Okay. You cannot discern until you attend to all of that hurt, that pain, that trauma, all of that, right? Suspicion creates mistrust, it creates division, it creates offense and confusion. None of that are the results of discernment. Okay? None of that are the results of discernment. So if you say to yourself, yeah, I'm discerning, I know how to discern spirits, this, that, or the other, but there is a lot of mistrust and division and offense and confusion around you, you are not discerning. Okay? You are you're suspicious, but you're not discerning. Suspicious people constantly assume motives. None of this stuff is based in truth, right? They assume motives, they read into words, they expect betrayal. But discernment does not operate from these type of insecurities. In fact, discernment doesn't operate from insecurity at all. Okay. 1 Corinthians 13:7 says, love believeth all things, hopeth all things, right? I'm paraphrasing there. And this doesn't mean that love is naive, but it does mean that love is not looking for evil constantly, okay? Discernment can recognize danger without becoming cynical, without becoming suspicious, okay? When you're discerning, you're not just going around looking for evil all the time. That's not how you operate, okay? Again, and that's not discernment. So, point number 4: discernment requires clean motives. I'm going to say this again: discernment requires clean motives. Sometimes people call something discernment when it's actually jealousy, offense, pride, bitterness, insecurity, right? And I can go on and on. You're saying, oh no, I'm, discerning this or discerning that. And it's not discernment because it's rooted in all of those things that I just mentioned. It's rooted in jealousy, right? Because again, if you are subject to your feelings like that, if you have unhealed, trauma, unhealed, rejection and all those kinds of things, you're not going to be able to discern. Okay. So that's not discernment. That is now what we call projection. Okay. You're projecting your insecurities, your problems on me or somebody else. That's not discernment. Discernment requires a clean heart. Okay. Because if your heart is contaminated, your perception is also going to be distorted. You are not going to be able to see clearly. You are going to be looking from the lens of your pain, hurt, betrayal, jealousy, offense, pride, bitterness, insecurity, all of those things. Okay. And I promise I have had experience with people who were saying, oh, Oh, my gut, this is my discernment telling me. No, that's your immaturity talking, right? And immaturity to address everything that you have not addressed in you. Okay. Matthew chapter 5, verse 8 says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Listen, that's not just about going to heaven and seeing God. That is about seeing him here and now. And how do you see him here and now? By having discernment. Okay. Being able to see him move in all these various different situations, being able to hear him when he's warning you, or, um, telling you, hey, something is, this is the truth about this situation, right? Purity sharpens your vision. And this is why it's important to train like an athlete, right? To be in your word daily, to pray, to fast, all of those disciplines, to do that stuff daily, because those are the things that are going to help you to get rid of the stuff that is going to cause your discernment to actually be suspicion and not discernment at all. Okay? So, in this era, this year, because I've been teaching with about 5786 this entire time, start from January until now. Everything that I'm teaching has to do with this, right? But in this year is exposing deception. I have been saying that. Many other people have been saying that, right? Yah is raising people who can discern accurately, who can move wisely, who can test the spirits properly, right? And refuse emotional deception. That is so important in this day and time. We are in an age that is pretty deceptive, okay? I mean, there's a lot going on that I can point to that, like, yeah, we're in an age, everything that, especially on social media, right? People put up, you know, 5-second clips, and so you think something is happening one way, but in actuality, when you go back and you look at the whole thing, it's a different story. Now that we have AI and everything, AI is great. I don't have no problems with it. You know what I'm saying? But also, people can use it deceptively, and people make videos about things, make up stories. I see it all the time, right? Just made up stories. And people like fall for this stuff like hook, line, and sinker, right? You cannot tell the difference between what's real and what appears to be real. So we've got to be mindful, right? So Yah is raising up people who can discern accurately, people who can, not be moved by emotion or every little win, right? You cannot discern clearly through fear, through offense, or through suspicion. So, this is the time to mature spiritually. It's a must because the next year that's coming requires it. Okay. And soon I'll start talking about the next year. I have been sharing all of these messages with you from January until now to prepare you for the next year coming, the Hebrew start year, which is September, because it's go time, right? Good morning, Crystal. Good to see you this morning. This is the season right now for you to mature spiritually so your discernment becomes trustworthy, because it is going to be needed in this next season that we're moving into. Okay. This week, ask yourself, have I been discerning or assuming? Ask yourself, have fear or past wounds distorted your perception? Um, and ask yourself, do you seek truth, or are you just looking for confirmation of your emotions? Right? So this week, slow down the emotional reactions, pray before coming to conclusions, compare everything to scripture, and ask Yah for clarity, not suspicion. Okay. Allow correction when it comes to you and someone's correcting you. Allow correction to sharpen your discernment. All right. Discernment is not negativity. So if there's any negativity around it, it's not discernment. Okay. Discernment is clarity. And in a deceptive age in which we live in, clarity is essential. Yah is not raising paranoid believers, okay? He is raising mature believers, mature kingdom citizens who can distinguish truth from what appears to be truth, who can recognize what's holy, who can reject what's false, and who can walk wisely. All right. So let's mature. Let's heal. Okay. If you haven't taken the time yet, as much as I have been talking about, get healed, and others have been talking about it's important to heal. People who don't even know God be talking about how important it is to heal and get therapy and and do all the things, right? If you haven't done that yet, start now. Okay? Start now. Let's heal so that we can discern clearly. All right. And I'll see you next Wednesday, 7 a.m., for part two in this series, Discernment in a Deceptive Age, right here on Wednesday Morning Manna. All right. God bless. Thank you all that joined me live. Amanda and Crystal, you guys have an amazing day. Those of you who have watched the replay, thank you for taking time out to watch the replay. And as I mentioned, join us again next Wednesday, 7 a.m., for part two of this series. And don't forget, you can also join us on Saturdays at 12:30 Eastern for our Rest and Reign Bible Study Hour. God bless. No outro today, but God bless. See you guys.